If we sort of break it down into that first email, because I guess
Yes.
in some ways that's almost the most challenging one to write, because it's
Yeah.
well, how do I actually get started on this? But if we think about that first email in particular, then what are some best practices people should follow then to maximize the chance of actually getting a response at some point down the workflow?
Yeah, good question. So I think the first email is usually the most thoughtful in terms of research and personalization. Every other email after that can be more of a value added follow up, which if we get a chance to talk through, I can give an example on that. But usually I like to personalize based on something that I call out on their profile, something that they are posting about. Now, in a perfect world, all of our prospects are active on social, but that is not always the case. So I actually built out an order of prioritization when it comes to research, because what I found is that a lot of reps, including the ones on my team, will get very caught up in this research component. And then before you know it, it's 60 minutes later and they're still working on this one email. And so to help avoid that rabbit hole, I think what's really important when you're building out your personalization is to stick to 4 areas. If those don't exist, you go to your fallback, which is less personalized. And so those 4 areas are they're posting, right? Or they're commenting on something like a Gary Vaynerchuk post that you can use, right? Something that's kind of viral. Their company is posting, so their company page, that's where I go next on LinkedIn. You can do Twitter too. I mean, it depends on where your personas live. If that doesn't exist, then I go to the company website. I try to look at the blog. Are there any newsworthy things happening? Did they win a company award recently? Something that I could use as a preface to kind of reach out and show that I know you or show that I did my research. And if that doesn't exist, then I go to Google News alerts. Like, is there anything that I can find about this company that can help me infuse my research into this first part of the email? So I think that's really important. And then you have to have some sort of relevance, but you don't need to be salesy. And some of my best email cadences actually don't mention a product, a service, a solution, a problem, nothing. They're just generating curiosity. And what I found is if you write a thoughtful enough message or a value added message, and there's some hint of curiosity there as to why you're reaching out, they will do their own research. They will click the link in your signature block for your website. And 9 times out of 10, they will do their own research. So you're putting the onus to research on your prospects. They'll connect the dots and be like, oh, okay, Christina's reaching out from Interstellar. Interstellar is a prospecting tool. Okay, cool. We're already using something. They'll respond back to you without you even calling it what it is, right? They'll respond back to you and say, hey, I saw on your website that you do this. We're already using this. Our contract's not up till December. Reach out then. So you get more insightful no's, but it also is the best way to turn an outbound lead into an inbound lead, because they make that decision, because we're consumers, right? When we go on Amazon and we're looking at products, we look at reviews and we make our own conclusions before we decide to hit buy. It's the same thing when you're reaching out with cold outreach. You're giving them enough that they get curious. And if you have the right timing, you've got your right personas down, the relevancy comes in prospecting. It doesn't need to be built into your messaging. They will do their own research and respond with that lens. So,
because nobody wants to be pushed into a sale then. I mean, I understand the psychology behind that as well. Nobody likes being sort of strong-armed into a meeting or a demo or anything like that. So would you have any call to action on there?
I do. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, hey, I would love to share how Interstellar might fit in. That's a sentence I use a lot as part of my kind of soft call to action. Like, what do you think? ? And a lot of times they'll say, oh, that's a nice way to position it, but what does Interstellar do? And that's how you really start to get more qualified responses with interest level, because now they've taken the action of saying, well, I don't know how Interstellar might fit in. Let me look and see what they do. Occasionally you'll get someone that writes you back and is a little bit lazier, and they'll say, okay, well, what the heck do you guys do? Right. it's still an opportunity for you to then go back to conversation. But I think of cold outreach as a ticket to a conversation. Every single step is trying to get the conversation. Once we get them booked, then the sales team can do what they do best, which is sell them on the product or just do a deeper discovery to understand, like, is this something we can help them with, knowing it is our core prospects?